Howdy folks, it's time to finally talk about triple syrup. So I heard about triple syrup a few weeks ago from two places, both YouTube channels, Educated Barfly and my buddy Zoschke. I'll leave links to their videos about it because they'll be talking a lot more about the history and the fellow who invented it, Dale Degroff. And Lord knows I am not a historian. But I figured I better make a video about it too because it's not every day that you hear about a brand new type of syrup. What? Now, the reason he invented this syrup was because when he would have a honey syrup drink, or that is a drink with honey syrup, it would be too much honey, and he wanted it to be sweet and have some honey flavor, but not be so overwhelmingly honey. Now, this is never a problem I've ever encountered. I've never said to myself, it's too much honey. Like, that's never come up, but we're gonna check it out, because Dale Degroff, you know, he's a legend, and if he says it's good, then let's check it out. So, what is triple syrup? Well, triple syrup is 4 parts simple syrup, 2 parts agave syrup, and 1 part honey syrup. I think Dale Degroff uses 1-to-1, but we'll get back more on that in a little bit. So this should be a sweet syrup that has some honey flavor, but not a ton. So let me just show you how to make this real quick. So first thing I'm gonna do is make honey syrup because I'm gonna need honey syrup anyway, because I'm gonna do a comparison between regular honey syrup and triple syrup. This seems to be how these sorts of videos are done, and I'm not bucking that trend. Now, Zach recommends 3-to-1 honey syrup to boost up the honey flavor a bit. But since I'm using this local honey, which is pretty strongly flavored, I'm gonna go ahead and use my normal 2-to-1, and then I can compare it to what I normally do, which is 2-to-1 honey syrup. And I encourage all of you guys, if you're making honey syrup, there must be local honey. The honey is made everywhere. Go find some flavorful honey. Go to the farmer's market. Go to the weird grocery. You know, find some. Don't just get generic honey. Get something good. Do a honey taste test sometime, and you'll be amazed. Now, I do all this by weight whenever I make these syrups because I just find it easier to reproduce the next time. You know, freedom units, they just don't make any sense to me when it comes to this stuff. Now, I will admit that all my cocktail recipes are in ounces because that's what I've always had, and those are the jiggers I have are in ounces. I don't have a really good way of jiggering, 60 grams, let alone 22.5 grams. The whole thing is crazy. So now for the triple syrup, we're going to start by making 1-to-1 simple syrup with white sugar. I did 80 grams of white sugar and 80 grams of water. I did this because I was shooting for 120 milliliters of syrup. And if you don't know, the sugar will condense by about half. 80 grams of water and 80 grams of sugar. In the final syrup, the 80 grams of water will remain, but the sugar will only contribute 40 milliliters to the final product. So I'm going to end up with 120 milliliters of syrup, which is what I'm shooting for because that's about 4 ounces. And that seemed like a good place to start. The next thing I'm going to add is 40 grams of agave nectar and 40 more grams of water. This will account for the agave nectar. And then I'm going to do 40 grams of honey syrup. I've already diluted the honey syrup, so 40 grams, takes all that into account. So my final proportions, 80 grams of sugar, 80 milliliters of water, 40 grams of agave nectar, 40 milliliters of water, and then 40 grams of honey syrup. Now in the end, if I add all this together, this should come out to about 240 milliliters, which is just under a cup, and that's exactly what I'm getting. Science! Whew! Anyway, you just mix it all up, give it a good stir, and put it in a bottle. Make sure and label it so you know what it is and you don't forget and leave it in the fridge and find it months later. So to compare these, I'm gonna make a honeysuckle. At least I think it's called a honeysuckle. It's gonna be mezcal, lime, and honey syrup. Let me know in the comments if you know what that's supposed to be called. I think a honeysuckle might be with rum. They're delicious. Give these a shot. Now, immediately you can see that this is the honey one. It's much darker than the triple syrup version. This honey I'm using is a very dark, rich honey. You can definitely taste the honey. It's got a sweet honey aftertaste. I'm pretty familiar with this honey, so I know what it tastes like, and it's got this sort of rich malty flavor. It's really good. But it is pretty strong. Like, you don't get a lot of lime flavor. All right, let me try the triple syrup. Getting more lime. That's good too. I mean, you definitely have a much less honey forward drink. These are both delicious. Triple syrup's good. It is a more balanced drink. You get more of the lime flavor. You get much less honey. It's much more subtle, but it is sweet enough. So it's pretty interesting. Am I going to use it for everything all the time? No, but I'm going to look for reasons to make honey drinks so I can use triple syrup.
It tastes like the bottom of a bee. It tastes like I'm licking an old honey jar. This backed off version is a lot more pleasant.
There you have it, folks. Auntie Susan prefers triple syrup. I've been encouraging people during this video to go out and find local delicious honeys and try them in their drinks.
Mm-hmm.
So,
like, I'm surprised that you get so much of the honey flavor when so little of it is honey syrup.
Right.
That's what is surprising about triple syrup, I think.
I think all the more reason to use this good, strong flavored honey.
Right. If you were using a more generic, less flavorful honey, it might not stand up so well on the triple syrup.
Right.
It's an interesting test we're doing with this very strong local honey. To science!
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 I give honey syrup a thumbs up for mixability, for not overpowering the drink with its assertive honey flavor like the honey syrup I'm using does. On the other hand, it isn't a super strong flavor, so it's more of like a neutral sweetener. So, I guess it depends on what you're looking for. So this has got me thinking. I wonder if at the home bar you could get away with just having triple syrup as your only syrup. My inclination is no, but let's find out by also making an old-fashioned with my regular GOM syrup and the triple syrup, and we'll see how that comes out.
To science!
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 Okay, these are just straight bourbon old fashions. I use Elijah Craig, that's my sort of go-to bourbon. I'm gonna try the regular one that I use the GOM syrup. Tastes normal. This one will be the triple syrup. I mean, I'm not detecting a huge difference. They're both about the same sweetness. I can't really detect honey in the one, so if you wanted to just use triple syrup for a lot of drinks, you probably could get away with it. My GOM does have a nice mouthfeel. It's much thicker. Given that it's hard to tell, I'd say if you wanted to just keep triple syrup around, you probably could, though I probably won't. Alright, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed triple syrup. Maybe you should give it a go, do some experiments. Let me know how it goes, and we'll see you next time.